guys, welcome to Funky's World. Okay, we are going to do a genealogy video. Now, I have some notes. This is not my personal genealogy, but it's hints that come from my personal experience, from reading, that sort of thing. Come on, where did it go? I need to fix that. This is a hint I wish I had had when I started, which is that when you are writing in a notebook, only do one surname to a page. Don't do 5 different surnames on a page, 5 different family lines, because it'll only confuse you. You have 8 sets of great-great-grandparents to research. Never forget that, because I wrote great, it's great, because you have to remember, you have, all right, I'm going to take my names for instance. I have my mother's grandparents. Oh no, that would be great-grandparents, wouldn't it? Yeah, because I have my mother's grandparents, okay? Edson and Hazel, which are Cox and Dyer. On her mother's side, on her father's side, I have Nettie and James. Then, on my father's side, I have Patience and Thomas, and David and Parmelia. That's 8. So it's 8 different last names. That's Cox, Dyer, Mitchell, I can't remember Nettie's name. Bordeaux, Hemingway, Cox, Dyer, Mitchell, Nettie, Bordeaux, Hemingway. Who am I missing? Oh, Wilson. And Burgess. So, just as an example for you, so you could have Jones, Thompson, McKenna, Danielson, Danzig, all of those to research. You know, you don't know, it's your own family, you know. And obviously that wasn't 8, but you get the idea. And don't get stuck in doing a straight line. A lot of people do that. And it makes for an unnecessary brick walls. Because you need to study great-grandma's sister, or great-grandpa's sister or brother, or whatever. And then go down through their kids. And one of their grandkids might have some document that was obscure to you, or might have some information that was passed down to them that wasn't passed down to you. So that's really important. That's why you need cousins. Like in Ancestry and 23andMe and that sort of stuff. And try to name as many of your great-grandparents as you can as you're writing when you're first starting out in genealogy. Fortunately for me, I could pretty much name them all without thinking about it, because I knew who they were. Except for my mother's, she didn't know. So, father's side. Now, if people were known by a nickname, and I'm pretty sure I've given this hint before, use their legal name, their given name, in your genealogy. For example, we have, in the town that my father grew up in, all the guys had weird nicknames. It's just a fact of life. And my father's nickname was Willie, but his given name, his legal name, was Robert. Or Bob. He went by Bob. When you weren't somebody that knew him well, he would introduce himself as Bob. Now, and here's where it gets complicated sometimes, because my father's family didn't call him Robert or Bob or Willie, which was his nickname. They called him Bobby. So you need to note that when you are doing genealogy. I know that was complicated, and it is. And you may have someone in your family that maybe he had red hair and he was called Uncle Red. We actually have a guy, not in my family tree, but in another family tree, who was simply known as Red, because he had red hair, his son had red hair, his grandson has red hair, that kind of thing. Known as Red. So, got another guy known as Flunk from the neighborhood, from the little village that my father was from. Another guy known as Toi, which I don't understand, because he was primarily Russian, yet he was known by a word that means three in French. Who knows in man-child? But the point being, if you know that your parent or grandparent had a nickname, maybe Grandpa was called Bud, you need to put his name and either Bud in quotes or in parentheses, just like I do with my dad. Robert Willie in parentheses Wilson. That's how his obituary was even done, because otherwise people wouldn't necessarily know who it was. Most genealogy software today gives you the opportunity to put in a nickname or an AKA, and also known as, which is basically a nickname. So that you can have that right in the software. You can do it right in Ancestry as well. You can do it in MyHeritage too. Plus, like I said, the softwares that you buy, you can definitely do it there. And that's important. It really is. Now, I've been kind of going through, and I wanted to give you some websites. Obviously, Family Search is a big favorite for me because it's free. And it has actual documents that you can see pictures of. And print pictures of actual documents. Going to save you a lot of money along the way, because you won't have to buy those documents, because there's no reason in a genealogical sense to have a certified copy of a document. And most states and commonwealths will not give you just a straight uncertified copy. You have to buy a certified copy. And the prices are going up, uppity, up, up, up. So, Find a Grave, also free, also very helpful. Last summer when I went to, not last summer, the summer before, 2024, when I went to where my ancestors were buried, Find a Grave saved my buns, because it was able to give us the lot number and the plot number, so we could find I use Ancestry.com. Not everybody can afford that. Fortunately, my credit card I use and I'll be able to afford it. But there's one called Ireland Reaching Out that I've actually used in the past that I have to go use again. It's www.irelandxo.com. And Ireland set that up for those of us who are of Irish heritage, who maybe want to go back or maybe want to find family that's there, especially in my case. Being so newly American, I still have a lot of Irish family that's there. Family History Trace is a Facebook group that will search for you, which is and help you out. Maybe someone on there has membership to this is saying Ellis Island's a pay site. It is not. You can search for free. You can also search for free at Castle Garden. If your relatives came in earlier than Ellis Island. In my case, mine came in 1873. And these are some that I want to look at that I don't know. I do recommend the Genealogy Toolkit. It's Irish, but it's got a lot of cool stuff. And the GenWeb, but it's hard to know whether the GenWeb is being updated or not. You know what I mean? So, this here, because this is going back in the room. Okay, so I will try to get some links in the description. I know last time I failed on that one miserably. I'll just start next. There's so many. Anyway, yeah, my hair is a disaster. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that these few hints helped you. There is an Italian page where you can get Italian records out of New York. There are a lot of those. But if you happen to see a record of yours that is not Italian but appears in the records that they've compiled, they will not help you. And they are somewhat rude to those of us who ask them for records that we can clearly see are in their database, but just don't happen to be Italian. They happen to be the other I word, Irish in my case. So they would not help me. They were kind of rude. So just keep that in mind. I'm sure if you're Italian, they're sweet as can be, but they just weren't for me. I mean, you could have said, oh, okay, you found it. While we do not do Irish, here is the record. While we do not help with Irish research, here is the record since you found it on our site. And sent me an email, you know, instead of just blowing me off like you did. Like, nope, not going to help you. The site is for Italian and Italian only, more or less. Is what they told me. I don't remember the exact email, but So they left a bad taste in my mouth. But like I said, if you're Italian, it can be very helpful to you. The town I live in is primarily, basically, French, Italian, and Slovak. That's the primary, and you'll find as you discover the town that you live in, as long as you don't live in a big city where they have sections for every ethnicity, like Boston, where Southie is Italian and North End is Italian. Southie is Irish. Oh my God. Southie is Irish. The North End is Italian. And so on and so forth. So, unless you live in a city like that that's clearly divided, if you live in a small town like I do, you're going to see what are the predominant ethnic groups by simply walking your cemeteries. And it's Slovakian, French, and Italian. So, and I'm looking outside because there's snow on the ground, several inches of snow on the ground. So, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this helps you. Like I said, don't do grandpa to grandpa to grandpa to grandpa, because you're going to get stuck. Don't be afraid to research grandpa's brother and see if he's got grandchildren around, maybe know something you don't. And that's hard. In certain, geez, that looked like Squeaky. That is not a reference that most of you will understand, but a Vern and Shirley reference. Anyway, if you knew that, you're an 80s kid. Anyway, maybe even a 70s kid. Because some ethnic groups are known for being silent. They don't talk, and the Irish were great for that. And that makes things harder. I don't know what other ethnic groups didn't talk about their lives before America, or even their lives after they got here, and about their families. Like the Irish. There are others, I know there are, and it's well known about the Irish. I remember seeing Law and Order SVU many years ago, when Stabler was talking to somebody, and he said, the Irishmen never spoke. They never told us anything. And I stopped dead in my tracks. I said, Dad, he's saying exactly what you have said all my life. And he said, because it's true. Everyone knows that. It's common knowledge. The Irish were shut off. And it was interesting to hear it on there, and kind of funny too, because his name is Christopher Maloney. He's Italian, but Stabler was Irish. But it was interesting to hear that there, because it just sort of double enforced what my father had always said. He used to say, if these damn Irishmen would talk, you know. So, I mean, he hung out with cousins he didn't even know were his cousins, because they didn't talk. Oops, excuse me. Oh. I'm like, what is that? I know what that was. that was a reminder. Anyway, so yeah. Evidently, it's pretty well known of the Irish. Maybe it's well known of other cultures as well. I don't know. So, you'll have to let me know. And like I said, I hope this all helps you start your genealogical journey. I figured I would go back to the basics, back to the beginning. And the very basics, the very beginning, write down your parents' names, their parents' names, dates of birth if you know them. I think most of us know our parents' mothers' maiden names because they use them as part of identification for things to prove you're you. So you've heard your parents say their mother's maiden names a million times, if you think about it. I mean, my father would call the bank or call whatever, and, you know, what's your mother's maiden name? Right? There. So it just, keep that in mind. And keep everything in mind. And like I said, start at the beginning, start at the very basics. See how many generations you can write. Do you know where they were born? Do you know approximately when they were born? Like, how old were they when your parent was born? Was your parent the oldest child, the youngest child? That'll give you an idea. Just take a piece of paper and write it down. That's the way you start. And I always tell people that. Just write down what you know. And my mother used to tell people the same thing. That's how you start. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Please subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye.